The palms know that summer has given way to colder days, but they're not mad about it. They talk and wave as usual, like they've just bundled up in their sweaters to enjoy the shift. The band that practices in my neighborhood practices in the dark now, after a shorter day that brings a quicker night. And the sound travels across crisp air that cracks on the way in. I listen and work drinking whiskey instead of white wine. The stars are still all in their perfect places, watching over an earth that is forever changing, sometimes against her will. As we know, but forget, darkness accompanies the light, and they have to have each other in order to exist. I remind myself of this a bunch. Albert Camus said, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." I've always liked that. I had this strange sense the other morning that I was rocking a child in my arms. My actual children were still sleeping. And I realized, maybe it's me rocking me, nestled under my chin, cozied up to my heart, and feeling the warmth that's still there.
Good morning, and welcome to a year of waiting. An unplanned event thrust us into a year of isolation, apart from family, friends, and neighbors, while we looked inward for ways to cope and connect and to create. Defining core strengths of mind, body, and spirit, we sought new meaning to our existence. Searching like a waterfall, spreading in the shallows, seeking its own level, before plummeting to the next plateau to begin the process again. The coming of Advent, a time of intentional waiting, qualitative, contemplative, and then moving on with kindness and thoughtful generosity. To borrow a line from the Beatles song, "Let it be, let it be."
Amazing Peace, a Christmas poem by Maya Angelou. Thunder rumbles in the mountain passes, and lightning rattles the caves of our houses. Floodwaters await us in our avenues. Snow falls upon snow, falls upon snow to avalanche over unprotected villages. The sky slips low and gray and threatening. We question ourselves. What have we done to so affront nature? We worry, God. Are you there? Are you there really? Does this covenant you made with us still hold? Into this climate of fear and apprehension, Christmas enters, streaming lights of joy, ringing bells of hope, and singing carols of forgiveness high up in the bright air. The world is encouraged to come away from rancor, come the way of friendship. It is the glad season. Thunder ebbs to silence and lightning sleeps quietly in the corner. Floodwaters recede into memory. Snow becomes a yielding cushion to aid us as we make our way to higher ground. Hope is born again in the faces of children. It rides on the shoulders of our aged as they walk into their sunsets. Hope spreads around the earth, brightens all things, even hate, which crouches breeding in dark corners. In our joy, we think we hear a whisper. At first, it is too soft. It is only half heard. We listen carefully as it gathers strength, and we hear a sweetness. And the word is peace. It is loud now. It is louder. Louder than the explosion of bombs. We tremble at the sound. We are thrilled by its presence. It is what we have hungered for. Not just the absence of war, but true peace. A harmony of spirit, a comfort of courtesy, security for our beloveds and their beloveds. We clap hands and welcome the peace of Christmas. We beckon this good season to wait a while with us. We, Baptist and Buddhist, Methodist and Muslim, say, "Come, peace. Come and fill us again with your majesty." We, the Jew and the Jainist, the Catholic and the Confucian, implore you to stay a while with us so we may learn by your shimmering light how to look beyond complexion and see community. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. On this platform of peace, we can create a language to translate ourselves to ourselves and to each other. At this holy instant, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ into the great religions of the world. We jubilant the precise advent of trust. We trust and shout with glorious tongues at the coming of hope. All the earth's tribes loosen their voices to celebrate the promise of peace. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud, peace. We look at the world around and speak the word around aloud, peace. We look at each other and into ourselves, and we say without shyness or hesitation, peace, my brother. Peace, my sister. Peace, my soul.
In early fall, your minister team gathered for one of our first Zoom meetings together. And during that meeting, we chose the worship themes for the fall. The one for Advent, the parables of Christmas, inviting each of us into a time of storytelling during the season of so many traditional and sacred stories. I admit that I wasn't feeling very peaceful and was having trouble thinking of a story that somehow spoke to this collective season of our lives that has evoked many emotions in me, but not one that I would name peace. Then, as often happens when you are listening for them, stories of peace were gifted to me. First in the gift of music by the glorious trio of Sue, Susan, and Mary, and then in the original writings offered by Taylor and Peggy, Zach and Larry in our Advent devotional booklet. In finding again a long-loved poem by Dr. Maya Angelou. And finally, and perhaps most surprising, from one of my doctors. I was born with an immune deficiency, and the only thing you need to know about that for the context of this story is that every now and then my body chooses to do something new and different to itself. In October, I had another episode of what in my house we refer to as the poke parade, in which various doctors order various pokes and pictures and then collectively go, Well, this time the poke parade ended in a referral to yet a new doctor, one of integrative medicine. After talking with me for a long while, she asked me if I had ever tried hypnotherapy. No, I said, but I was up to try anything, especially something that sounded remarkably poke-free. I had my third hypnotherapy session yesterday. I have found these sessions to be equal parts affirming and healing. Nothing is asked of me during these sessions except to be still and to listen. For anyone who has spent any amount of time with me, you probably know, or at least could deduce, that silence is not something I find generally comfortable or relaxing. And I was nervous that my struggle with silent meditation I might also find with hypnotherapy. But to my great relief, as with music, when I have a voice there to guide me, I am able to be both still and quiet. During the sessions, I am told wonderful things like, "That's right, you are safe here. All of your cares and worries are outside this room. Just relax and listen to my voice." And listen, I do. Each session, I have been invited on a different journey. During the first, it was descending down a grand wooden staircase. This one took only a small adjustment to my world, as soon into the process, I was told that I was barefoot on this grand staircase. Again, if you have spent any amount of time with me, you would also guess that my imagined descent down a grand staircase would involve a very fabulous pair of shoes. But I listened, and soon I could feel the sturdy, cool wood beneath my feet, grounding and supporting me. During the second session, I was invited on a walk and a lounge on an empty beach. It was the first time since being gifted with a fearless and ocean-loving daughter that I have been able to relax on a beach, even if just in my mind. And it was glorious to feel the warm sand envelop me, to listen to the waves, and to breathe in that healthy, salty sea air. As lovely as those were, yesterday was my favorite journey yet. During our session, I was invited to be inside a log cabin, and my mind instantly transported me to the place where I decided to pursue ministry, to Lake Bird Lodge, the log cabin summer camp that I spent my college summers on staff. I was able to once again trace the cracks between the logs with my fingers, to feel that worn wood beneath my feet and see the serene lake just outside the porch. After this session, I asked my doctor if it was okay that I imagined somewhere real, if that somehow changed the intention of the hypnotic state. She said, "Of course not. It's helpful when you have been there, when your mind recalls the safe spaces of your life." And it was then that she said the thing that made me want to tell you this story today. She said to me, "You are a minister. You know that your body is a temple. We are told now that we are to shelter in place. But that can be a time of healing. We have to give ourselves permission to make it so." And as if to cement that this statement was meant for preaching this Advent Peace Sunday, I spotted this on the upper window of the office as I was leaving the parking lot. Now, truth be told, I have never really liked that passage, "Your body is a temple," as it sits in its biblical context as part of a rather sexist and shame-filled section of Paul's letters. But in that moment, it was totally reframed for me. And so I wanted to seek out other passages that spoke of temples. And I came across this one from Psalm 48. "We ponder your steadfast love, O God, in the midst of your temple." Perhaps the concept of treating your body like a temple doesn't mean subscribing to the latest sacrificial fad diet or even about what exercises or adornments we gift our bodies, but instead about what our body can gift to us. After all, how could we know what respite and rest was without a body that calls us to do it? I was asked in that moment to contemplate not how much more I could get done if I just inhabited a healthy body all the time, but instead what I would lose if I did. For one, this gift of prescribed and scheduled rest and care. What if, even in its brokenness, or even perhaps because of it, our bodies can be a sanctuary for us? If our bodies are a temple, there's something very incarnational about that statement. The holy resides within us. Just like we talk about the birth of hope and peace and joy and love and light in us every Advent season. What if, by accepting that our bodies are a dwelling place for the sacred, we give ourselves permission to dwell, like the psalmist said, on the steadfast love present in the midst of our temple? Hafiz, the 14th century Persian poet, wrote, "I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being." One of the very best parts about being a minister is that we get to see over and over again the astonishing light of our congregation's being. Just this week, I have seen the light of poets and joyful gifters, of musicians and child feeders, of those who are grieving and those who are growing. I hope that you are able to see your own being's light and to see it reflected back to you. And my wish for peace for you today is that you can find a moment of stillness and of rest, and that in that holy moment you will hear the words spoken. Yes, that's right. You are safe here. Peace, my soul. Amen. for joining us at the United Church of Gainesville today. To learn more about who we are and what we believe, and to support our ministry, please visit ucgainesville.org.